My God, I'm pregnant with John's baby. I'll take the CEO's wife's position.
In that moment, something snapped inside me. She had constantly mocked me, the wife of the CEO, flaunting her youth and always putting me down. She even stole my position as the CEO secretary, and now she's trying to take my husband, John, away. If that's how it is, I won't hold back anymore. I'll drag you both straight to the depths of hell. I decided to congratulate John and Ava on purpose. I signed the divorce papers John handed me myself. Of course, I made sure to get a hefty alimony. A week later, the two of them held an extravagant wedding in Hawaii. Everything changed 1 week after that. Ava called me in a panic.
Hey, John hasn't come home. You're his ex-wife. You must know where he is, right?
Ava was quite panicked. As the situation unfolded exactly as I had imagined, I smirked. Oh, I didn't mention it before, but he's...
What?
I revealed the outrageous truth about John's secret life. My name is Maggie. I'm a 58-year-old part-time homemaker. I work as the CEO's secretary at my husband John's company. At 6 a.m. I wake up earlier than John to make breakfast. Afterward, I head to work alone, tidying up and cleaning the CEO's office. This has been my daily routine for years. I want John to have a comfortable environment to work in. At 8 a.m., John arrives in the CEO's office.
Oh, thanks, Maggie. You cleaned again today.
I walk up to John and adjust his tie. It's no trouble, honey. I know you prefer working in a neat office.
That's true.
John and I had an arranged marriage. Although we didn't have children, we worked through life together, cooperating and compromising. This year marks our 30th wedding anniversary. The company John inherited from his father is thriving, and I've had no complaints about our life. Oh, by the way, the funding for the new projects you proposed. Victor said he'll support it. The transfer just came through.
That's great. Vic has always liked you, you know. Thanks for handling that.
At this company, John serves as the CEO, while his older brother holds the position of chairman. His older brother's name is Victor. John affectionately calls him Vic. Come to think of it, Victor helped fund another one of your projects before. Shouldn't you move forward with that one? When I casually brought it up, John frowned.
Don't worry about that. I've got it handled.
All right.
Today's schedule is completely free, right?
Yes, just like you said. John smiled, clearly pleased.
Perfect. There's someone I want to introduce you to. I'll bring them here, so wait a bit.
Sure. Someone he wants to introduce me? I felt a strange sense of unease at those words. Soon, I heard laughter coming from the hallway. It was John's voice, and the voice of a young woman. As the door to the office opened, the two of them entered, their camaraderie all too obvious.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Maggie.
John said, his face glowing with joy. But I was too stunned to reply, my eyes glued to the young woman standing next to him. She was extremely young. Her hair was a light brown, almost golden, and she was dressed in a mini skirt that fully exposed her thighs, paired with a camisole with a plunging neckline. Her outfit looked like she was ready for a night out. However, the woman in front of me wore it flawlessly, and I was struck with awe, thinking, so this is what youth looks like.
This is Ava. She'll be working here starting today.
Nice to meet you all.
I was stunned. Are you kidding me? My husband was introducing a young woman to me. That alone was enough to make my heart race in discomfort. Excuse me, but how old is Ava?
She's 23. The other day, I was out at a bar with some friends, and she started talking to me. We just clicked, and honestly, her youth and energy were refreshing. Don't you think she'll boost morale around here?
Oh, well, I guess. He was probably being completely serious. Seeing John's beaming face, I found myself unable to say anything.
All right then, Maggie. Teach Ava the ropes.
Wait, Ava will be working as a general employee, right? In that case, someone other than me should.
Oh, I forgot to mention. We've decided to go with a two-secretary system from now on. So teach Ava the secretary duties.
A two-secretary system? Is that really necessary?
Come on now. You're getting up there in years, aren't you? It wouldn't hurt to pass some of your workload to the younger generation.
Hearing John laugh so nonchalantly, I felt a sharp pain in my chest. Getting old, the way you said that.
Anyway, I'm heading out for a personal errand. Maggie, I'm counting on you to train her.
With that, John left the office, leaving me alone with Ava. I took a deep breath to calm myself. When John decides something, he tends to barrel ahead. And he always ends up failing and regretting it later. This pattern has repeated many times throughout our marriage. There's no point arguing at a time like this. For now, I'll just go along with it. After all, it's bound to fail again.
Hey, Maggie.
Ava tapped me on the shoulder. Yes?
How old are you?
I thought it would be unfair to not answer when she had told me her age, so I spoke honestly. I'll be 58 this year. However, it seemed my sincerity didn't reach her.
Wow, you're the same age as my grandma. Maggie, you never know when you might just keel over. And you're still working. That's kinda sad.
I forced a strained smile. I enjoy my work. It's not sad at all.
Oh, I see. The sad one must be the John then. Poor guy, having to be stuck with some old lady at home and at work.
Her words kept coming, one after another, and my face grew tense. What exactly are you trying to say?
Don't you get it? I guess older people really do start slowing down.
With a big sigh, Ava clearly stated,
What I'm saying is that someone young and pretty like me is obviously above an old lady like you. Got it? Old lady.
She flashed a bright, triumphant smile as she said it, and I couldn't suppress a shiver. I couldn't stay silent anymore. You know, you really need to learn some manners.
Oh, are you mad? Is this menopause or something?
What?
See, you're snapping again. If you get mad at every little thing, it must be tough keeping up with work, huh? And don't people with menopause sweat a lot and get out of breath? Trying so hard despite all that. It's pathetic. Why not retire already?
As I stood there, dumbfounded, Ava leaned in and whispered in my ear.
While you're at it, why not retire from being the Sia's wife too?
I shuddered. This woman intended to take John away from me. I raised my voice without thinking. That's enough. With that kind of attitude, there's no way I'm teaching you anything. Leave this company right now. I expected an argument, but Eva simply stared at me. Tears began to flow from her eyes.
I'm sorry.
What?
I didn't mean it like that. I just wanted to be friends with you, so I was joking around. But you're being so mean, so cruel.
Ava collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. She looked like a tragic heroine in a melodrama.
I'll leave this company. Thank you for everything, Maggie.
With that, Ava stormed out of the room. What is happening? I was so stunned by the sudden turn of events that I couldn't process anything for a while. Then Ava returned, her face flushed red, bringing John with her.
What the hell are you doing?
His sudden shout made me flinch. What's going on, honey?
Ava told me everything. You yelled at her, didn't you?
That's because she said such awful things.
Don't lie. I heard your conversation myself.
What? It turned out Ava had recorded our argument on her phone. The audio started right at the moment when I was scolding her, making it sound like I had suddenly lashed out for no reason and reduced her to tears. So that's why Ava had apologized so meekly back then, even crying quietly. I bit my lip in frustration.
You don't trust me?
Trust you? Ava came to me in tears, telling me about your behavior. There's even a recording. It's obvious whose story is credible here. A secretary who bullies employees like that is fired effective immediately. What? I couldn't believe my ears. I had been supporting John both at home and at work for years. And now he was choosing Ava, a woman who had just joined the company, over me? Wait a minute, if I'm gone, who's going to handle the secretary work?
Ava, of course.
That's impossible. And what about Macau? I caught myself and swallowed the rest of my words. I rephrased in a way only John and I would understand. You know, your little hobby.
I'll take care of that myself. I'd rather have someone pure and sweet like Ava than a liar like you. Besides, isn't a young and beautiful woman more fitting for me than someone old like you?
John smiled brightly and looked fondly at Ava. Ava glanced up at him with big, adoring eyes, wearing a dazzling smile. Then she turned her gaze to me and stuck her tongue out ever so slightly, just enough for me to notice. I tried protest to John multiple times, but he refused to listen. Being a secretary isn't an easy job. I argued that Ava wouldn't be able to handle it, but he dismissed my concerns, calling them exaggerated and saying, "You won't know until you try." It was as if he saw himself as some knight protecting his princess. His infatuation was beyond belief for someone running a company. Eventually, John went as far as throwing away my personal belongings from the office without my permission. In their place, he set up a brand new desk and cute, trendy stationery meant for a younger woman, all for Ava. There's no point in trying anymore. Resigning myself to the situation, I decided to leave the company. But even at night, John didn't come home. He didn't return my messages either. I thought he was just trying to spite me, but when a week, a month, and then 3 months passed, I began to worry. Then, one day, I was called to the office by John and was on my way to the CEO's office. Could it be that he's finally realized how hard the secretary job is? Maybe he's fired Ava and wants to bring me back? Holding onto a sliver of hope, I knocked on the office door.
Come in.
When I opened the door, I was met with an unbelievable sight. John was sitting there, holding hands with Ava, both of them smiling blissfully. As they looked at me, they laughed like it was the most amusing thing in the world.
It's been a while, Maggie. I have some big news today.
What is it?
Actually,
Before he could finish, Ava placed a hand over his mouth.
Let me say, okay. I want to thank Maggie properly, too.
All right.
John nodded deeply, and Ava turned to me with a radiant smile.
We're getting married. Maggie, thank you for taking care of my darling until now.
What? As I stood there in shock, John gave a sheepish laugh.
Well, I figured there was no point in hiding it anymore. I'm ready to start my second life. You're getting old, so it's better for you to live quietly on your own now.
What are you saying? You can't just decide that on your own. I felt the blood drain from my entire body.
Hey, Maggie. We're not done talking yet. Here, a little present for you.
Ava handed me a few sheets of paper. They were black and white printed photos. Looking at them, I felt nauseous. These ultrasound photos, don't tell me. Ava slowly nodded and gently patted her stomach. As she stepped closer to me, she whispered in my ear,
I'm pregnant with John's baby. I'll take the CEO's wife's position.
At that moment, something inside me snapped. She had relentlessly mocked me, the wife of the CEO, flaunting her youth and superiority at every opportunity. She had taken over my role as the CEO's secretary and was now trying to steal my husband. All right then, if that's how it is, I won't hold back anymore. I'll drag the two of you straight to the depths of hell. I decided to go out of my way to congratulate John and Ava. I personally signed the divorce papers that John handed me. Of course, I made sure to secure a generous alimony payment. The two of them went on to have a lavish wedding in Hawaii. The situation changed a week later. I received a phone call from Ava.
Hey, John hasn't come home. You're his ex-wife, so you must know where he is, right?
Her panicked voice echoed through the receiver. As the situation unfolded exactly as I had imagined, I smirked. Oh, I didn't mention it before, but he's...
What?
I revealed the shocking truth about John's hidden side. He is a hobby he just loves. I'm sure he's in Macau right now.
Macau?
Haven't you heard? Macau has big hotels, and they have casinos. John goes there whenever he has free time. Ava gasped.
Wait, you mean?
Yes, he's probably drowning himself in gambling right now. I used to carefully manage his schedule to keep him from going overboard. Clearly, he kept this hidden from his new secretary. He must have been too embarrassed to let you see the side of him that wastes his earnings on gambling. Ava was too shocked to respond. I chuckled softly. You know, I should thank you.
What?
John's gambling addiction started a few years ago. Apparently, he was introduced to it by a new business associate.
And so what?
Before you came along, I still felt some attachment to him. I worried about how he was spiraling downward. But now, I've completely severed those ties. Honestly, this was the best opportunity. You took on that worthless man and even gave me alimony. Thanks to you, I think I'll be able to enjoy my second life. I laughed out loud. I could hear heavy breathing on the other end of the line.
You've got to be kidding me. You old hag. Don't get cocky.
Well then, goodbye. You're going to have your hands full from now on. With a sarcastic tone, I ended the call, ignoring Ava's yelling on the other end. A few days later, I was relaxing in my new apartment when my doorbell rang. A delivery, but I didn't order anything. Feeling suspicious, I looked through the peephole. Standing there, his face bright red, was my ex-husband, John.
I know you're in there, Maggie. How dare you tell Ava about that?
Oh, the gambling, I see. Understanding the situation, I decided to open the door and invite him in. He must be hired a private investigator to find out where I was. Running away now would just make him chase me further. It was time to settle this once and for all. I have some important information I need to tell him. I prepared a clear file containing the documents before opening the door. Long time no see, John, I said with a graceful smile.
Long time no see. You destroyed my family, and you can still smile?
John leaned in, shouting in my face. He was trying to intimidate me, but after all our years together, I was immune to his tactics. Your face is so red. What happened?
None of your business.
I couldn't help but laugh. He had come all this way just to vent his anger. But I already knew what was going on. You had a fight with your new wife, didn't you?
Shut up.
Ava, I bet it's hard for you to handle most of your income being spent on gambling. Didn't she tell you she'd manage your salary and put you on an allowance? John froze, his eyes wide with shock.
How did you? Did you plant a bug on me or something?
He questioned me with a serious expression, but I burst into laughter. Because you had the exact same conversation with me before, when your gambling habit was discovered. And you said this: "What's wrong with spending the money I earned on my hobby?" I'm sure you said the same thing this time too. So you fought with Ava and came here to take it out on me, didn't you? John bit his lip, clenched his fists, and stayed silent. Don't underestimate a wife of 30 years. Looking at his frustrated expression, I thought this to myself with satisfaction. You should be grateful that I was your secretary. I managed your schedule so carefully that I minimized the time you could spend gambling. I was making sure you didn't ruin yourself. Do you think Ava, a clueless 23-year-old, can handle that? Well, she doesn't have much of a choice now, does she? After all, you're having a baby. A baby. The moment I said those words, John's face lit up. What a simple man.
That's right. Ava and I are having a baby. Unlike you, who couldn't have children, Ava can give me an heir. You lost as a woman.
John looked down at me with a smug expression, as if he had triumphed. Well, good for you.
We're happy now. Don't you dare try to destroy my family again. I came here to warn you today.
John pointed at me sharply. I tilted my head, feigning confusion. Me, destroy it. I have no intention of doing that. In fact, I want to help you.
Help me?
Clearly unable to comprehend, John stood there with his mouth agape. Have you taken Ava to the OB-GYN?
That's a place for women. Ava said she wanted to go alone, so I haven't gone with her.
You've seen the ultrasound photo, right? The glossy, thick photo paper?
No, the one I saw was just thin, regular paper.
I see. I pulled a few photos out of the clear file I had prepared and handed them to John. The black and white pictures filled with static noise. It's an ultrasound photo of a baby. John's eyes widened.
What? Are you pregnant?
Of course not. These are the gifts Ava gave me. She's so thoughtful, isn't she? Printing extras for me online.
Online?
John's face twisted with confusion as I handed him another piece of paper. It was a printout of a blog article. The article was written 2 years ago. The content includes a pregnancy announcement and an ultrasound photo. Compare these photos to the ones from the article. Notice anything? John alternated between the photos and the article, his face gradually turning pale.
It can't be.
Exactly. I overlapped the copied article photo with Ava's ultrasound image and held them up to the light. From the static noise to the shadow of the baby, they matched perfectly. Have you heard of reverse image search? It's a tool that lets you find similar images on the internet. That's how I found this blog. It looks like she copied the article and neatly cropped out the photos for herself.
Then, does that mean the whole baby thing is?
John's face went completely white, and he looked like he was about to collapse. I decided to give him the final blow. It's a lie. There's no baby in her stomach. John collapsed.
No way. She wouldn't lie about something like that. That's impossible. I bought her everything. Expensive clothes, bags, even a pricey engagement ring.
John pounded the floor with his fists, his emotions spilling out uncontrollably. The sight was so pitiful that I couldn't help but smirk. Too bad you won't be a father. Honestly, considering your age, it's questionable whether you even have the ability to get her pregnant. Thinking that just because she's young, she'd definitely have a baby, that was naive.
Oh no.
Why don't you ask her about the truth yourself? I'll call her over right now. John was too defeated to argue. He simply hung his head in silence. I called Ava to my apartment. After some time, my doorbell rang, and I opened the door. When Ava saw me standing with John, she let out a scream.
What the hell are you doing? Are you trying to take John back?
No, I told you, I'm thankful for everything you've done.
There's a baby in my stomach. You can't tear us apart.
Ignoring everything I said, Ava shouted triumphantly, wearing a smug expression. And she gently wrapped her arm around John's shoulder.
Are you okay, honey? Come on, let's go home and talk about the finances again. I'll manage your salary, all right? We'll get through this trial together because, you see, there's a baby in my.
Enough.
John slowly stood up. He looked Ava straight in the eye and quietly spoke.
You're lying about the pregnancy, aren't you?
Ava's face froze in an unmistakably guilty expression.
What are you talking about, honey?
Tell me the truth, Ava.
I'm telling the truth. I even showed you the ultrasound photo, didn't I? This baby is the proof of our love. How could you deny that? You're so cruel.
Ava collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. But soon, she lifted her head and glared daggers at me.
I bet this old hag fed you some nonsense. She's just jealous because she's old and wrinkled while I'm young and beautiful.
Ava snorted arrogantly. I gave her a calm smile in return. Is that all you have to say?
Hey, John, let's just go home already, okay?
Ava tugged at John's arm. John brushed her hand away.
Enough, Ava.
What?
John shoved the blog article printout and the ultrasound photo in Ava's face.
You can't lie your way out of this anymore. I believed in you. Why would you lie to me like this? When you told me you were pregnant, I was so happy I cried.
At that moment, all emotion drained from Ava's face.
John,
What?
Ava looked up at him with tearful eyes, her gaze soft and pleading.
I just wanted to know if you truly love me. I was scared you were just playing around with me. So I said I was pregnant. But then, you told me you wanted me to have the baby, and I was so happy.
Ava's radiant smile softened John's anger.
I see. So you lied because you love me.
That's right. And we can make a baby now, can't we? With my beauty and your intelligence, we'll have an amazing child. He'll inherit the company someday and make us tons of money.
That's not going to happen. I interrupted, bringing the two back to reality.
Hey, we were having a moment here.
Do you think this man has money? I asked calmly.
Of course, he's the CEO, isn't he?
I see. It's true our family business has been stable for generations. But that's the company as a whole. This man, he's a gambler. You know what that means, don't you?
What?
Ava's face turned pale, and she clung to John.
Hey, John. You're rich, right? You told me, didn't you? You said you had more money than you knew what to do with, and that would live a wealthy life once we got married.
Cornered, John stammered.
It's fine. Sure, I lost some money at the casino, and I don't have any savings right now. But the company's going to start a new project soon. We'll make a fortune from that.
What are you talking about, honey? I pointed out his pathetic lie. You know, I'm aware that there's no plan for any new project.
What are you saying?
Remember when you asked Victor for funding recently? Where do you think that money went? Surely you didn't use it to buy brand name goods and an engagement ring for your new wife, did you? I glared at John.
What are you implying? I never do something like that.
John laughed nervously, but his voice was trembling. I let out a small sigh. You embezzled company funds, didn't you? When I met his eyes with a piercing gaze, John swallowed hard. I had my suspicions. This year, you kept saying, I'm starting a new project, and got funding from Victor multiple times, but the projects never moved forward. You didn't even try, and then it was just one new project after another. It would have been strange not to be suspicious. So, I talked to Victor and decided to get solid proof.
You and Victor teamed up. Then the deposit from Victor that day was
A trap. You transferred the funds for the new project directly into your own account, didn't you? Normally, you'd use multiple accounts to cover your tracks, but this time you went straight to your own account. What happened? Were you that desperate for money, trying to prove to Ava that you were wealthy? It seemed I had hit the mark, as John mumbled incoherently. I delivered the final blow. You're done. You'll be arrested and live the rest of your life as a disgrace.
Shut up. It was all within the family. I'll probably just get probation, and Vic will pay the bail anyway. Even if I'm prosecuted, I'll be out in no time.
John tried to convince himself as he spoke.
Why do you even know about this? I fired you. This has nothing to do with you anymore.
Victor told me.
Vic did.
Yes, Victor hired me.
What?
John's mouth fell open in shock. I explained calmly. Victor reached out to me right after he heard that you had abandoned me. He apologized for the terrible thing his brother had done and asked if he could rehire me himself. I agreed immediately. You didn't know, did you?
Vic was hiding this from me. That bastard.
I'm grateful to him. He put me in charge of managing his schedule. The pay is even better than before. I smiled brightly, and John ground his teeth in frustration.
That bastard Vic. I'm going to confront him right now.
It was at the very moment John was about to leave the house.
Wait, hey!
Ava grabbed his arm. She yanked him toward her, their faces inches apart. Her expression was terrifying, like a demon's.
Hey, old man.
What?
John recoiled at the low, cold tone of Ava's voice. She took a deep breath and screamed.
You tricked me, didn't you? You bragged about being rich, but it turns out you're just an old broke criminal. Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry, Ava.
John stammered, trembling as he gently held her hand. He looked her in the eye and spoke slowly.
But it's okay. I'll probably get probation and I'll be able to come home. Even if I'm kicked out of the company, we can be happy together even without money.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Ava yanked her hand away and glared at John as if he were trash.
Why would a young, beautiful woman like me live with a broke old man like you? I even lied about being pregnant to get you to marry me. What a waste of my time. And now my record's ruined because of this marriage. This is the worst.
Ava shoved John aside and stormed out of the room.
Wait, Ava.
Shut up.
Bang! Ava slammed the door as she left. John, abandoned by his beloved new wife, stood frozen in the entryway like a ghost. I addressed him calmly. Leave. This is my house.
Hey, Maggie.
What?
Can't we start over? I'll be the CEO, and you can be my secretary, just like before.
John smiled awkwardly, trying to appeal to me, and I shook my head firmly. Impossible. I hate you. I never want to see your face again. John's eyes widened, and he began trembling. Enough of this. I opened the door and pushed him out. After I locked the door and started watching TV in the living room, John, seemingly realizing that everything was truly over, quietly left the apartment. Later, John was arrested. He had assumed Victor would bail him out, but that didn't happen. He was left alone to face the cold walls of the detention center. John was charged with embezzling the funds Victor had provided for company projects. Additionally, it was revealed that he had borrowed money from business partners under the guise of starting new projects and transferred those funds into his personal account for personal use. John was sentenced to prison without parole and wouldn't be released for several years. As for Ava, She was suspected of conspiring with John and underwent interrogation. While no evidence of collusion was found, the police discovered that Ava had been scamming multiple business owners. She would approach wealthy-looking men at bars, charm them, become romantically involved, and then demand large sums of money under false pretenses like pregnancy or apparent surgery. John had been just another victim of her schemes. Ava was arrested for fraud. And so, the two of them ended up in the hands of the police together. 6 months have passed since John's arrest. I'm still working with Victor. Restoring the company's reputation after such a scandal hasn't been easy, and Victor is constantly stressed. I want to support him as much as I can. Feeling indebted to him, I strongly think so. One evening, I returned to the office with Victor. He sank into his chair with a deep sigh.
Today was exhausting.
There were a lot of meetings. Victor looked at me and smiled.
Yeah, but thanks to you choosing a great restaurant, we had an enjoyable dinner. Our business partners, who are mostly my age, loved the healthy yet luxurious options. Plus, no one had heard of the restaurant before. It felt like a surprise. It made for lively conversation. Thank you.
Victor smiled warmly. Unlike John, he was always calm and composed. He spoke politely to everyone, and his sincerity was evident. I found myself drawn to his character. You're too kind. Then Victor let out a satisfied sigh.
To think someone as competent as you was once married to my foolish brother. It's unbelievable.
I chuckled softly. Formerly married, I have no ties to him anymore.
That's true. By the way, Maggie, how much longer do you plan to work? Are you thinking about retiring and enjoying a quiet life at home?
I smiled and replied, I enjoy working. As long as I'm able, I want to keep going. Victor nodded enthusiastically.
Maggie, I want you to help me rebuild this company. It's going to be a long journey, but I'm counting on you.
I nodded firmly. Of course, Victor. My spirited response made Victor laugh heartily. Seeing his smile warmed my heart. My second life is going to be wonderful. Looking at Victor's smiling face, I couldn't help but feel that way.